In the unforgiving grip of Tierra del Fuego, where the Andes plunge into a chaotic maze of fjords, the HMS Beagle pressed onward in the southern summer of 1832. At its helm stood Captain Robert Fitzroy, a man of iron will and aristocratic fire, whose hydrographic surveys demanded unflinching precision. His moods were as mercurial as the gales, capable of erupting into thunderous rages over the smallest slight, only to subside into brooding silences. Sharing the cramped wardroom with him was Charles Darwin, a young naturalist whose sharp eyes and restless mind were already probing the edges of creation. Their relationship, born of necessity on this grand voyage, was a powder keg of intellects. Fitzroy, a devout adherent to the literal word of Scripture, viewed the world as a divine hierarchy. Darwin first spied them from the Eagle's rail, live figures in bark canoes, their skin burnished by seal oil, bodies scantily draped in guanaco pelts or nothing at all, smeared with ochre against the perpetual damp. These were no idle primitives, but masters of a seascape that tested every fiber of existence. The men hurled harpoons at seals from the gunwales. The women, bare to the elements, waded and dove for the sea's meager gifts. At dusk, as the temperature plummeted and the wind clawed at the shores, they kindled fires from sodden driftwood. Men and women alike shed their thin cloaks and huddled in crouched embryonic forms around the flames, knees tucked to chins, limbs folded tight, to hoard the scant warmth, their collective breath rising in a fragile vapor against the encroaching frost. But it was a revelation from the depths of winter famine that seared itself into Darwin's journals, a tale relayed not from distant rumor, but from the lips of those who knew these waters intimately. During the Eagle's anchorage in the Eagle Channel, informants spoke of the Yaghan's starkest trial, when the shellfish banks froze over and the otters vanished into the icy depths. Starvation clawed at the group like the gales themselves. In those desperate months, the calculus of survival turned brutal. The elders, particularly the old women, whose foraging days had waned, became the first to fall. They were killed and consumed, their bodies rendered down over the very fires that once warmed them. The method, as described by a young Yaghan boy captured earlier by sealing Captain Mr. Lowe, was chilling in its efficiency. The women were held over the smoke until they choked, their screams echoing through the wigwams as the group divided the flesh, tongues, livers, and limbs, prized for their scant nourishment. The boy, mimicking the death throes with a grotesque jest, detailed how the old ones, sensing the hunger's approach, would flee into the jagged mountains, their frail forms scrambling over scree and ice. But the younger hunters pursued, dragging them back to the slaughter at the hearthside, where kinship dissolved into necessity. Why spare the dogs? The answer, delivered with the blunt pragmatism of a people forged by the sea, was as stark as the landscape. Doggies catch otters, old women know. These canines, lean, hardy beasts trained to the hunt, were the lifeline, plunging into the frigid bays to corner marine prey that no human hand could seize. An elder, in famine's grip, offered no such return. Darwin recorded it all, his pen trembling with a mix of horror and fascination. In his Voyage of the Beagle, he laid it bare. When pressed in winter by hunger, they kill and devour their old women before they kill their dogs. He even carried the echo into the origin of species, using it to underscore the raw valuation of life amid scarcity. Fitzroy, pacing the deck in pious outrage, saw only heathen barbarity, a confirmation of the need for Christian light to redeem these souls. For Darwin, it was a darker mirror, a window into the unyielding logic of existence. This was no isolated horror, but a thread in the broader tapestry of Patagonia's canoe peoples, stretching northward to the Chonos archipelago, where the Chono navigated a similar realm of rain-lashed forests and kelp forests from 43 to 47 degrees south. Here too the sea was sovereign. Men speared sea lions from the dolka, those resilient canoes of larch and resin, while the women, the silent harvesters of the depths, plunged unroped into waters that bit like blades. They descended for limpets, mussels, and the slick ribbons of kelp, their dives a daily sacrament, sustained by bodies attuned to the cold. Physiological echoes from these maritime nomads reveal adaptations of profound resilience, elevated metabolic fires, fueled by marine fats that stoked internal warmth and permitted hours in the chill, their skin enduring where others would blue and seize. Such efficiency complemented the rituals of the night, minimal garb of sealskin or bark, cast aside by the fire's glow, bodies coiling into those same fetal huddles to defy the archipelago's damp chill. In the end, as the beagles slipped from Fuegian waters, Darwin's mind churned with these fragments of endurance. The rift with Fitzroy, once a spark, now smoldered into prophecy. Fitzroy's certainties fracturing against Darwin's vision of a world remade by contingency and grit. The Yaghan and Chono, vanishing even then into the mists of contact and disease, stood as living testaments, humanity's defiant pulse in the planet's harshest forge, where the line between predator and prey blurred in the eternal dance of tide and fire. Their stories, etched in shell middens and whispered lore, remind us that survival is never gentle, but always profound. And now, a word from our sponsor. Don't forget to check out ArchaeoMaps. Over 10,000 archaeological sites around the globe. The link is in the description.